It's not just to put a public.
It's the first thing was to clean up their area for residents of Muse. It's a danger to the residents of Muse, to the school. This grant would basically eliminate that danger. The secondary benefit would be a good spot for public works on a clean piece of ground.
So you're saying that the only intention right now, other than cleaning it up, is to put a public works building there?
No, the cleanup, we have two goals on there: to clean it up for the residents of Muse, and it'd be a good spot for public works.
So there's no other discussions with industrial places or
No, not at all.
organizations about any of these?
None.
So I have a question. What is being voted on the next supervisors meeting with respect to the ABB property? Is there a vote? Is there something that's going to be voted on?
Yes.
You all have, unfortunately, we'll post the agenda as soon as possible, but you have to wait for an agenda to come out.
So, which usually, maybe we could get it before the Friday before, that would be super awesome.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, great, good. So, are we going, so I agree with the comments that were made by Chairman Savada that we should have some type of council, not the council that we currently have, right, or we just, we've been using so far on the property. A new third-party independent council to come in and evaluate the documents as legal professionals as to what it says and give their opinions on what it states. And we should have all that information at our disposal as members of the community before anything is voted on.
That's a good point. He's trying to set up a meeting with some attorneys before any action is taken.
But if there's a question, if
But
there's
how can we set up a meeting before we've taken action on our old attorney and hired a new one? We can't do that.
We're talking about an attorney. She just asked if we can have some attorney who's independent and up to date on it, to have another information with attorneys instead of engineers, so they can ask attorney questions, legal questions.
right, before we vote on it.
That's what we're hoping
So that
for.
they can tell us what these documents mean, for sure.
That's right.
And without the bias of whatever previous attorneys have opinions about or whatever they think is in
But
it.
addressing the new attorneys, they might be hard pressed to say, yeah, we can meet you, get up to date on this whole thing and be ready to talk to the public by Thursday of next week.
But then we shouldn't vote on anything. for the next
That's
supervisor.
what we're hoping, he can get a meeting set up. And they finally authorized him to talk to some attorneys to get him up there.
But there won't be time for public notice about it.
Not before the meeting, no. Not before the public meeting.
So that means there will not be a vote at the next meeting.
Well, I hope there isn't.
So I just want to ask if this is something we can do. So I like actually the point that was brought up about asking for a vote and soliciting public input on whether or not they want this to happen. Because we have an upcoming election, is it still possible to have something on the ballot that says, are you in favor of the purchase of the ABB property by Cecil Township?
We don't have a referendum.
No. Okay.
I'm sorry, what was his response? We don't have one?
You can't do ballot referendum questions like that.
We tried to do that in Murraysville for the Marcellus issue. We tried to do that in Murraysville. You can't do that. That's correct.
Garrett?
That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Michelle?
What I don't understand is, we know it's contaminated. Why would we want to go any further with this?
Yep, you're right. All that money, we don't need to spend it.
It's just,
Use it for something else.
if you know how much we spent already, it's crazy money.
Sure.
I'll
And I
file a
think,
right to know request tomorrow to find out how much exactly we have spent on this property.
I think they said we could get into stupid money.
Although Tom said he would just give me anything I asked for, I didn't have to file right to know, so.
That's good.
That's the case that I could give it to you, I have it in my email. Okay. Tom, you made a comment about, the township's interest in this property. When exactly did we express interest in this property to ABB? They came to us and said they wanted us to buy this property, that they couldn't clean it up, that they were being fined by the PDP, or?
Well, about 18 years ago, they came to us and they said they would, if we were interested, if they got it cleaned up while they were doing it, they said they would be interested in donating to the township if we wanted it. It would be a flat-out donation.
So you didn't reach out to them 1996.
Yeah, although you asked me when we talked to them.
Right, I'm asking
17
you.
years ago, we talked to them, they approached us.
Okay, well, this was about 25 years ago, let's just say 20 to be,
Whatever year that they actually did their main cleanup,
Right,
that I
okay,
know
well-
anyhow, they cleaned it up to a certain extent.
this says,
Wait,
it's
you asked the question, let me finish it. They asked if we were interested. When their cleanup was completed there, they had 21 or 17 test wells that were drilled there. The DEP told us, they said we would probably rather monitor for at least 5 or 6 years before you make a decision on taking it. Because at least, right now it looked good, but there's wells and that's the purpose of test wells. So we dropped the idea.
okay,
It's
because I
dropped.
have a letter dated April 1st, 1996 to ABB Environmental Services to a Kenneth Campbell, and it's signed by Thomas A. Cassiola, Chairman of Cecil Township.
Right.
Talking about how I'm writing to express Cecil Township's genuine interest in acquiring suitable property for future community recreation and services. According to our township engineer, a majority of the existing slate dump property can be made to accommodate our two most pressing needs. So this isn't something that they came to us about, we went to them.
No, they came to us and asked us if we'd be interested after they got it cleaned up. Well, I talked to my board at the time, and at the time thought they could clean it to recreational standards.
I mean-
And when they started getting all their test results, they changed their standard for Act 2. They says we can get it to industrial clearance, but that's about all they're going to spend the money on.
Right,
So
but
we dropped the idea back then.
nothing in this letter says anything about, and I can read the entire letter if you'd like, but nothing in the letter says anything about them cleaning up the property, or the DEP cleaning up the property, or there being any environmental damage on the property.
The DEP
It just
never
talks
cleaned the
about,
property.
this is you to them, and it's saying that we must address the severe shortage of ball fields and play areas for our youth. The few fields we have, I can read the whole thing if you'd like, but there's not a single sentence in here that says anything about cleaning up this property.
Why didn't you get all the correspondence we had?
I have most of them.
Well, then why didn't you bring them?
They're in my laptop. Should I sit
All right,
here and do a
well, I'm sure
PowerPoint,
after
we
the
do a
next meeting-
500-page PowerPoint presentation for everybody?
There was that much correspondence between.
What about, there's 5 boxes. I went to the DEP and sat there for 7
I'm
hours
talking
and
about my
scanned document
correspondence.
after document after document. There is entirely that much
I'm talking about
information.
my correspondence as chairman to them.
Oh, I have
We
one.
expressed an interest, and there wasn't 500 contacts, I know that.
Oh, your correspondence, no, but this was the most interesting one for sure.
Right.
Especially when you sit, and I wasn't gonna say anything about it, but then you sit here tonight and you talk about how they came to us and they wanted this to come to us, and you clearly went to them.
They
And
did
you've been
come
on
to
this
us.
property since 1996.
They did come to us.
Just wanna make sure that everybody knows the truth.
I'm here to tell them that.
Doesn't sound like it.
Okay.
Jesse White, attorney 249 Miller's Run. Quick question about this grant. 1.9 million. What is first of all, is there a copy of the grant application? Is that a?
I had that on that list of things that we should not be discussing without the attorneys here, but it was, talking about the position, the answer, the contract damages, surcharges, grants, and any other issues surrounding the agreement.
Why, the person that applied for the
And
grant
we
is
really
standing
should
right there.
be directing that. Would you agree to an attorney?
Why, the person that helped us apply for the grant is standing right
And I've
there.
worked with, I have a little experience with this, and you don't need an attorney to apply for a grant. I've worked with municipalities and applied for hundreds of
What's
grants.
your question, sir?
Okay, is there a copy of the grant application that's available? Yes. Okay, and that's something we can get through right to know request?
The manager has it.
Okay, thanks.
You don't even need a right to know, just we can have a
Well, I'm
copy.
gonna do it by phone, so there's no question. So, but my question is, for the grant, you're saying 1.9 million, is that solely for the coal pile cleanup? Are they dedicated funds?
Yes.
You asked, is it for the coal pile area?
Well, yes.
Yes, it's for the coal pile area. This is actually the plan that was submitted with the grant.
Okay.
So this
Yeah,
plan,
make sure they can hear it.
okay, this is actually the plan that was submitted with the grant and included the access road from the Goose Bishop Road, this dark gold piece of the road. So it includes the construction of that. It included the construction of a pad here to cover a portion of the coal area for a salt storage area. And then it included coverage of the old loamy pile with soil. And then it included utilities coming up at least to a point here that they could be useful for the new, potentially for a new public works building. So it was to create sort of the basic infrastructure that the site could be used for its intent as a public works facility in the future.
Thank you, because that just answered my question. This looks very, I thought I realized I'd seen something like this before. The Cool Valley development, we're going back a few years.
Yeah.
When they came in and tried to develop it, the private investors wanted the redevelopment authority to do grant money to build the infrastructure so they could come in later and put in the development. And it included things like an access road. Where are those 7 theoretical properties on that map?
They could be anywhere on either side of this road.
But they'd be accessible through the access road, obviously.
Sure, yeah, it could be possible to get them there. But let me qualify. We were working in conjunction with the DEP Bureau of Mine Reclamation, and they stressed and they emphasized to include these things in your application.
I know, I understand.
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't like we were out there trying to say, we're going to develop this for some other purpose. The sole purpose, the 2 purposes of this grant application were, number 1, to fix the bony pile, and then to provide, at least as a part of that, a road to get in to be able to do it, and to cover a part of it for a future salt storage area. That's what it was for.
So, because that's where I was a little confused, because we're hearing 1.9 million, it was implied that it was going to go towards environmental cleanup.
Yes, the largest portion of it.
But I mean, building the road that's no small. How far is that?
I think it was about 500 feet.
Okay. You know, the fact that we're building an infrastructure up there, and the fact, and in of itself, I get what you're saying, Dan, but the fact that there was a meeting held with the redevelopment authority, and knowing this is exactly how they build developments, like, I think that there's a much bigger issue here, because it feels as though there are other pieces of this that have not been made public. And I think we have a supervisor that's having meetings that and I guess the question is, if Tom met with them, if you met with them, Tom, I mean, were you speaking for the board?
No, we're speaking to get some information for Dan that he needed for the application.
But when are you going to tell the rest of the board about the plan? Because
the point was, the question was, could you help us with this if we hadn't developed that? We're thinking about having...
No, we weren't thinking about it. You were thinking about it.
Yeah, we're talking about Dan and I, we're thinking about the application process. And the process, he needed more than information, just saying we want to build either a salt storage shed, or we want to just clear the property. Everything we were going to do that benefited the either tax base because they look at development, or clean up the property, we got points for it. So that the more we showed them, the better chance we had of getting a grant. So I know we couldn't develop it ourselves. If we had told through the application, yes, Cecil could develop that property, they would know through Cecil do that right away. That's not our area.
Okay, so that's a fair
we have a county they're experts at that. So I just asked them, would you be willing to help us if we came down to that so we can put on a grant application? They said, yes, they would help if we're interested. And that was the end of the school.
I'm sure they would. But here's my question. Now the board, and including when the consent decree was voted on in December of 2017, and the sales agreement was voted on the month before, we had a lame duck board. The deciding vote was a lame duck supervisor who had lost. Mr. Fleer had won, and it obviously just couldn't wait because we had the majority, so we had to push it through. That's politics, I get that. But I guess my thing is, now you've got this board that's now being forced to confront these pretty serious issues from not just the environmental point of view, but also from a financial point of view. This contract gives no methodology for how ABB is to pay the township back and on what schedule. There's a reasonableness clause in there. If they feel that what the township is doing is not reasonable, they can refuse to pay it. So this could be digging a massive hole.
And a whole host of things like you're mentioning. We had a meeting set up on Monday night to discuss the things in the contract, which we're not going to discuss with the public.
And that's fine.
And I never developed that far.
And here's the thing. So we can all acknowledge that these are big issues, big financial issues.